Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified as an MP. A notice that's just surfaced that shows that his Wayanad Lok Sabha seat will now be vacant.
Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified from the membership of the Lok Sabha. This is what we can share with you at the moment. We have the final notification with us at the moment that says Rahul Gandhi, member of Lok Sabha, representing the Wayanad parliamentary seat, has been disqualified from the membership of the Lok Sabha.
Breaking coming in. This is massive. Big breaking coming in. Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified. Viewers getting these back-to-back updates coming in. Rahul Gandhi stands disqualified. And this is a very, very big news.
You've essentially got Rahul a 2-year jail sentence because Abhishek Manu Singhvi didn't want to eat vegetarian. But he's very professional. So he wouldn't have said no. Let's be clear about that. He is one of the most professional people I have ever had the privilege of meeting. Basically, what happened was Rahul went on saying apparently, "Inme himmat nahi. They won't dare do anything to me. Do they know who I am?" Okay. Then when the conviction came, again, Abhishek Manu Singhvi said, "Let's go to court preemptively. We can't wait for night time for the order to come." And the person who said don't go is Rahul. He went on saying, they don't have the guts. They've done this to fix me. They don't have the guts to disqualify. And pat, they disqualified you. The disqualification is automatic. It's immediate and automatic. There's nothing you can do about it.
Hello, this is Khalid, Baig, and welcome to yet another episode of India This Week. We're joined by Kushal and Abhijit today. Welcome, guys.
Namaste.
Right, so the topic we're discussing, of course, as you can see from the title, Raga's disqualification from the parliament, or as death of democracy. That's what the Western media would like us to believe. So, guys, want to understand first from you. I mean, I read your tweets, and one thing I saw what was very common between Kushal and Abhijit's tweets was that you guys were very clear that the criminal defamation law, the law is an ass, but the law exists. So, whoever wants to take it first about what exactly is the law, how long has it been there in the Indian Penal Code, Section 499, if I get it correct. So, what does it say? What are the prominent convictions which have happened previously?
Well, the law has been enacted during British times, from what I remember. से तो ना कांग्रेस की देन है ना बीजेपी की देन है. This is अंग्रेजों की देन. Our political system is so amazing that we decided ऐसा थोड़ा ना अंकल ने दिया है हम नहीं जाएंगे उसको लेके हम तो रखेंगे और उसको और अच्छा बनाएंगे. And then from what I remember last time Nikhil was telling me on a call कि 2 साल पहले सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक केस गया था क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन का, तो बीजेपी सरकार ने भी बोला था हाँ रखो क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन, और क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी बोला हाँ हम रखेंगे क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन. तो there is absolute unanimity in India when it comes to the legislative and the judiciary when it comes to criminal defamation. They conceptually like it because they can bully people, they can intimidate people, and pretty much destroy lives whenever they want to. Having said that, what the hell was Rahul Gandhi and what the hell were they doing? I mean, I don't know. ऐसा कैसा हो सकता है कि तुम्हारे lawyer क्या कर रहे थे? The question should be what the hell was Rahul Gandhi doing, not what the hell is the criminal defamation law.
Abhijit?
And mind you, the Congress has some of the best damn lawyers. So the question is, what were they doing? See, the Congress wants you to ask that the petitioner himself had asked for a stay 1 year back. Then he petitioned for the stay to be vacated about a month back after the judge changed. Okay. Now, they're not telling you that. They're saying the judge was changed in the case.
Okay. That's what Kapil Sibal was saying to Rajdeep in one of the discussions.
So here's the thing. Once there was a new judge, because these cases are never permanently allocated to one judge. You see, there's a rotation in court.
Okay.
Now, this petitioner has decided that this judge will probably be more available and things like that. So he's decided he wanted to, or because of his own timing, God knows why, he's decided he wanted to vacate the stay. So the stay got vacated.
A magistrate is changed. Yes. Are you telling me that all of this is fitting in a pattern? 2 years is enough to disqualify. It could not have been less. Otherwise, there would be no disqualification. Criminal defamation normally doesn't attract 2 years. Are you saying all of this is pre-planned?
I'm saying nothing. You have set out the events yourself. The matter was in the High Court. There was a stay. The stay was withdrawn. Matter went back to Surat. The judge was changed. I'm not saying anything. The events speak for themselves. Every individual in this country, citizen of this country, political party in this country can draw its own conclusion.
The Congress didn't even bother arguing the case, boss. Okay. Oral arguments to chodo, written submissions bhi kuch nahi the. So no written submissions, no oral arguments. Now, if you face a no contest situation, somebody's accused you, and you're sitting in the box going, I don't have an argument, I don't have an argument, I don't have an argument. What is the judge going to do?
Right.
So they never took this case seriously. Apparently, all the court guys were saying, and tell me something, for Abhishek Manu Singhvi is anyway not charging you money. All you had to do was pay for him business class from Delhi to Surat. Business class ka ticket would have maximum been 25,000 rupees 1 week. 5-6 hearings, it would have totally come to about 2-3 lakhs maximum for you to send him there. Surat has very nice hotels. Remember, Surat is a very rich city. We ourselves have stayed, Kushal and I have stayed at a lovely property out there. All the 5 stars there are pure veg, by the way. So maybe that's why Abhishek Manu Singhvi didn't want to go there. But whatever reason, you've essentially got Rahul a 2-year jail sentence because Abhishek Manu Singhvi didn't want to eat vegetarian. But he's very professional. So he wouldn't have said no. Let's be clear about that. He is one of the most professional people I have ever had the privilege of meeting. So basically what happened was Rahul went on saying apparently, "Inme himmat nahi. They won't dare do anything to me. Do they know who I am?" Okay. Then when the conviction came, again, Abhishek Manu Singhvi said, let's go to court preemptively. We can't wait for night time for the order to come and this and that. Because, the oral order announced and then the written order takes time for it to get printed and all of that. And that's mostly because if you've gone to court, you'll know the slowest part of the court process is the transcriber. The person who's recording the proceedings, they do spelling mistakes galore. This isn't like what you see on American TV. In Suits, there's that shorthand lady typing in court and they do it very accurately. They have the names printed in front of them so they don't make any spelling mistakes, etc., etc. So everything is done very, very clearly. In India, transcribers are not like that. Okay, they're very slow. So it takes a long time for the written orders to be given. And then the written orders are given. You go to court. That very morning, they could have gone. The very next morning, that evening itself, they could have preemptively gone. They did not. So what has ended up happening is, again, the person who said don't go is Rahul. He went on saying, they don't have the guts. They've done this to fix me. They don't have the guts to disqualify. And pat, they disqualified you. The disqualification is automatic. It's immediate and automatic. There's nothing you can do about it. Right. Now, if you look at the Lakshadweep MP, what's happened is the court has stayed his conviction. But he has not been acquitted yet. Right. So there's still a legal gray area. Can you be admitted back? Because there is no court order to Parliament to reinstate him. They have suspended his conviction, but they have not said that Parliament has to reinstate him. Right. So this is a legal gray area. So even now, if his conviction is suspended, you don't know if he'll be reinstated.
All right. Kushal, that gets me to we understood the legal aspect of it, and surely democracy isn't in danger. In fact, democracy is working as per, the courts need to go about it.
No, see, sorry, 1 second, before Kushal comes in. You see, democracy in India clearly has 15,000 lives. Because since the 108 months that Narendra Modi has been in power, 108 months into 30 is how many days?
Around 300
108 into
324.
108 months into 30 days, 3,240 days. Every day, democracy in India has died 20 times a day. And the very next morning when the sun rises, democracy is born again to be killed all over again. Okay. So clearly, Indian democracy is very strong.
So That gets me to the political aspect of it. Now, what was interesting, Kushal, was that I saw a lot of BJP loyalists saying that this is being done purposely by Congress so that they can play the victim card ahead of the Karnataka elections. And then I saw Kushal, you saying that this is being done by BJP. I mean, BJP is happy with this in the sense that they would want it to be Rahul versus them because that pitting really helps them. How exactly do both of you see this?
Both of them are, see, BJP and Congress only agree on one thing: Rahul Gandhi matters. So Congress likes Rahul Gandhi because they think the party cannot function without Rahul Gandhi. BJP likes Rahul Gandhi because they feel that if Rahul Gandhi is the opposition and he's the face of the opposition, they have so much faith in his ability to mess things up constantly every time he opens his mouth that they have an easy competition. And they don't have to deal with the regional party argy-bargy as is being planned for a while. Like, there are multiple people who have written different pieces on different occasions. Like Derek O'Brien had written How to Defeat BJP in the Indian Express a while ago, and there are other people who have shared their thoughts. The point is that this is what BJP wants, this is what Congress wants, and there is no sandgart in between them. Sometimes you just have converging interests. Sometimes two sides can have, or even two sides that oppose each other can have converging interests, albeit for different reasons. So my whole point was that why would the BJP be sad? The BJP, every time Rahul Gandhi goes out of the news, somehow or the other, miraculously, he's back in the news. And BJP goes, बीजेपी हंसती है और बोलती है चलो आ गया वापस, शुक्र है, अब हमको कुछ करना नहीं पड़ेगा. Because to deal with someone who is on average smarter and more articulate than Rahul Gandhi would need hard work. Like, you don't have to do any hard work to defeat Rahul Gandhi. All you have to do is Amit Malviya and his team has to literally take out his videos and put them on social media. I think Congress से पहले तो BJP उसके video share करती है आजकल.
Did you notice at the press conference, the video clips first started getting shared by the BJP? The person who got trolled the most for Rahul Gandhi being thrown in jail was poor Amit Malviya. Everybody was saying that Amit Malviya has gone into deep depression. He's in grief counseling. He's been taken to hospital because he had a cardiac arrest because of Rahul Gandhi's conviction. My best employee of the month straight for 108 months running has been put out of commission. Apparently, he went around smashing apparently, if you look at the outward windows on the left-hand side of the BJP headquarters, they're all smashed because apparently Amit Malviya took his head and started smashing all the glass in those windows. So these are the jokes doing the round in the... Listen, I think, the Congress supporters ask a very valid question. If the BJP, which the BJP does claim that Rahul Gandhi is irrelevant, why do you waste so much time on Rahul Gandhi responding to him?
Right.
It's very simple. See, they're not binaries. You always pick an irrelevant guy as enemy number one. You ignore the articulate people. This is a technique they've picked up from the left. The left will always choose the gochus to represent the right. Okay, they will always completely ignore the smart, articulate voices on the right because they don't want to deal with the arguments of those smart, articulate voices.
But Abhijit, currently the opposition does not have any articulate voice, right? A man of substance, a woman of substance who has a pan-India appeal. I mean, even that's not there. Na? Leaving Raga aside, who is there? Who is the
Look, you can have lots of... look, I mean, Shashi Tharoor may be urbane. But remember, he's won his seat every single time in Thiruvananthapuram, even against anti-Congress tides, every time with an increasing majority. Okay, and he isn't as divisive as Rahul is. Right, he's quite happy to work with the government. There are a lot of people in government. Manish Tiwari is so articulate. Kapil Sibal is so articulate. And they don't rub people the wrong way. Now they have to. Right. P. Chidambaram mein kya kami hai, batao? Okay, इसमें अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी में क्या कमी है? There's so many articulate voices in parliament and outside parliament who can be leader of the opposition. You don't want them to be leader of the opposition? Okay, what mass appeal does Rahul Gandhi have other than being a Gandhi? technically the Congress president will automatically attract a certain amount of curiosity and get an automatic following, if only they are allowed a certain leeway and room. Right? Mamta, she has regional appeal. Okay, there's so many regional leaders with a great deal of appeal. Tum BJD ko dekh lo, BJD, notice what BJD has done. You look at every single regional leader who keeps opposing the BJP. They do very well in state elections, but they don't do that well in national elections. The BJD is the exception to the rule because in Odisha, they don't oppose the BJP at all. They oppose the BJP in the state, they don't oppose the BJP in the center. Which is why the BJD also ends up winning the huge majority, 2/3 of the majority of the parliamentary seats in Odisha as well. Because they are not a destructive opposition, they're a very constructive opposition. And they've learned, unlike Mamta Di, who lost half her seats from West Bengal in parliament. Right. So there is there are lots of people. यार इसको निकालो तो सही पहले, किसी और को आने तो दो. If you get rid of the dead weight and equilibrium, a leader will find the part. You don't worry about that. First, get rid of him.
Right. I wanted to come back on the criminal defamation thing. There isn't any major leader, I mean, even the Prime Minister is not an exception to that, who has said something crass, vulgar, targeting a person, right? Like you had the 50 crore ki girlfriend jibe at Tharoor, many other things like that. And, you've had any major, I mean, Uvaisi keeps on taking these, below the belt digs and all. So by that stretch, would you both be in agreement that majority of people in the parliament can be tried, under the criminal defamation case if it was an appeal is made?
What was very interesting is why was this case made as criminal defamation and not SC/ST Atrocities Act? Because that's where it should have gone, right? If they said,
well, OBC doesn't come under SC/ST, no.
So they went. So that was I guess the time for BJP to come up with a OBC Atrocity Act. Also, we have just given BJP another fantastic idea to ruin this country with another set of laws.
Please don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas, please.
So और कुछ बाकी नहीं है, ये भी कर लो. But यार ऐसे तो किसी के साथ भी करोगे तो अभी मैं वकील तो हूं नहीं, मगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ऐसे प्राइमा फेसी तो मतलब हर चीज में इंडिया में केस लगेगा क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन का. कितनों को करेंगे? Look, like I said, I don't know why people are discussing how there is the. It doesn't matter what he said. Even if he would have said some utterly casteist thing, I don't think so. You should be in jail for something like that, in my view. Criminal defamation is so horrifying that it exists in India. I want to ask.
Even Justice Chandrachud, who's as woke as you can get, has asked for punishment for hate speech.
Yeah.
Which is, see, hate speech can have social consequences. It can't have criminal consequences. But Chandrachud, who is as woke as it gets and as liberal as it gets, wants criminal punishment for hate speech. Hate speech is apparently, I oppose all hate speech. I am very consistent on this. There is no such thing as hate speech. There is only incitement to violence, which is under the Brandenburg principle, which has to be a specific threat to a specific section of people or a specific person. Okay. But he, in a recent speech before he became CJI, said that tolerance does not mean we tolerate hate speech. His own words. Second, the SC/ST Act fundamentally societalizes any slur by an individual against another individual. Okay, so you've had the principle of criminal defamation repeated in the SC/ST Act and repeated by your current CJI before he became CJI. So it is not, so if today if the CJI goes and says, I don't agree with the criminal defamation, I'm sorry, but you yourself wanted a law punishing hate speech. What the hell are you talking about now? Okay.
Exactly.
Second, if you get rid of your criminal defamation, you also have to get rid of the SC/ST atrocities, at least the speech part of the SC/ST Atrocities Act. And you have to get rid of, Chandrachud has to formally withdraw his comments on the need for hate speech laws. We're very clear about this. Because this is how first principles argument are based. Just because Chandrachud takes a fancy to something doesn't mean you have a law on something and you don't have a law on something else. Okay,
Well,
so the judiciary, as always in this country, is extremely confused about everything. They're economically illiterate, which is a known fact. But with the other things, they also seem to be in severe grips of cranial rectal inversion syndrome. Now, everything else that flows from this, how are you going to sort it out? Because we do penalize speech in this country. I've only given you 3 examples. Apparently, there are lots of examples of the penalization of speech. 66A, for example, which was struck down as unconstitutional, which was internet speech. Okay, which incidentally was promulgated by the Society for Internet, by a guy who sat with Kapil Sibal and Center for Internet Societies, who promulgate free speech on internet. They were the ones who drafted 66A and gave it to Kapil Sibal to enact. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
His name is Pranesh Prakash. He comes on TV as some kind of a great free speech advocate. He was the one that used to go meet Kapil Sibal every evening to draft that 66A.
अच्छा, ये प्रणेश तो ये जो recently I had read प्रणेश का some जब वायर और मेटा का ये हुआ था तभी भी ये प्रणेश कुछ तो बोल रहा था.
No, he was pointing out that there were gaps in the story, in that tech fog and this thing. He never opened his mouth on tech fog. He supported tech fog. He only opened his mouth on this thing because he gets money from Facebook or whatever. And the Center for Internet Societies also kicked him out, even though he founded it, because they didn't find him particularly worthwhile or useful, precisely because of his forked tongue.
So, what we can understand from this is that the issue is the criminal defamation law which exists there and which becomes a tool to curb freedom of speech in India. I mean, the window narrows down even, right? And that has nothing to do with who's in power, because across political lines, they have a uniformity over the fact that, yes, we want this law and their voters want it and everybody wants it. So there is no fascism per se and everybody will use it the way they want.
We don't know who wants it or who doesn't want it. Let's be very clear. There is no survey that indicates to us whether Indians like criminal defamation or not. Baba, Indians don't even know criminal defamation exists. Most of them may not even be aware of something like this. And secondly, it is very dangerous sometimes to argue on the basis of what if tomorrow 95% of India's population says there should be death penalty for free speech, bad speech. Should we do it? These are very dangerous patterns to follow in a democracy, but that's not what the issue is. The issue is the spin being given to the whole thing as if this is the first time a member of parliament has been disqualified.
Right.
That's the problem. I mean, as recent Jayalalitha hui thi, right? 17 में, फिर Kamal Kishore Bhagat 15 में, Suresh Halwankar 14, Selva Ganapati, Baban Rao, Enno Sikka, वो लोग सब 14 में हुए, आशा रानी 13 में, रशीद मसूद 13 में, लालू प्रसाद जी हुए थे 13 में, जगदीश शर्मा 13 में, पप्पू कलानी, ये सब लोग भी तो डिस्क्वालीफाई हुए थे. तो मतलब वो क्या हो रहा था? वहां पे कोई डेथ ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी हो गई थी.
You know, in fact, that brings me to another ironic point, Abhijit. I mean, I'm at least clear with regards to freedom of speech is like you should be able to speak about anything. I mean, even if it's blasphemous, just that there shouldn't be a call for violence, right? Zubair-led mobs who ended up killing 6 innocent Indian civilians, there were thousands of them speaking Sartan Se Juda. In fact, the member of parliament for Asuddin Owaisi, one of his top-notch guys, Imtiaz Jalil, former employee of NDTV, who's the MP from Aurangabad, he said those lines. That's clearly criminal defamation. I mean, that's clearly calling for the chopping. No action gets taken there.
Kuch nahi hoga.
So, you know, this is that famous, you know, if you watch the movie Thomas Becket, that was actually, what was it, Henry II? Who was the king at that time under Thomas Becket? It's a famous movie. Go watch it. It's actually based on real events where the Archbishop of Canterbury was killed by knights of the King of England, who said, he worded it very carefully. He didn't say, go kill the Archbishop of Canterbury. He said, will nobody rid me of this troublesome man? And his defense against the Catholic Church, at that time, the split of the Church of England hadn't happened, was, well, I didn't know that they were going to go kill them. Now, you tell me, can any sane man in this day and age say that when a Muslim accuses somebody of blasphemy against the Prophet, it will be without consequence for the accused? And yet, Chandrachud said this was journalism. How can I prevent him from tweeting for even for a minute and set that clown free? He's not a clown. He's a dangerous mass murderer. We're working on finding funding of who funds alt news. We're going to put it out. Every single name and every single address of people who find alt news, we're going to be putting it out. Because we want to see what companies also interact with it. Who are the platforms like News Laundry that platform these clowns, and we're going to go after their funders. That's a different matter. But, you know, the fact that this fellow who is responsible for the deaths of at least 6 Indian citizens, the murderous torture deaths on TV of slitting people's throats, slicing their throats, was given bail by the Chief Justice of India. Okay, who has 70,000 cases pending, but still has time to find his pet cases, whose son's career depends on a certain cabal, worthless son's career depends on a certain cabal, and this Zubair belongs to that particular cabal. It's a whole alliance of third-raters.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we all know Yale, Stanford mein admission kaise hota hai. It's not because you're terribly smart. Rahul Gandhi got into Harvard, no? So we all know how these Harvard, Stanford, Yale admission circles work. If your daddy is somebody, it doesn't matter how dumb you are, you'll get into anything you want.
Right. No, I've always said this, you know, alt news, Zubair is just the front. I'm dead sure the guy can't, you know, even type one sentence which is coherent, logical. It's that team behind of the fanatic communists and Islamists, and this guy is the front, and it works for the perception wise. I mean, I'm ready to bet on that, but that's another matter of fact that nobody wants to, you know, challenge that. I want you guys a rebuttal to Rajiv Sardesai's argument, in which he is arguing against the judgment of the court, saying that neither Lalit nor Nirav are OBCs. So hence this argument of this being against an entire community, there is a bias in the judicial system which gave that verdict. You guys want to give a
Good.
counter argument?
I hope the judge hauls Rajdeep for contempt of court now.
No, I think it is a valid argument. Look, I don't
Obviously, it's a valid argument.
Right. But see, I'll tell you what the issue here is. Not all Modis are OBCs or MBCs as they're classified.
Right.
The issue is Rahul Gandhi talked about Modis. He specifically asked, why is everybody Modis? Now, is there a hate speech law against, like the SC/ST Protection Act? When you don't have the SC/ST Protection Act, you go in for criminal defamation. Okay. Now, Nirav Modi and Lalit Modi may not be
OBCs.
OBC or MBCs.
अच्छा, एक छोटा सा सवाल, इन सब के नाम, इन सब चोरों के नाम मोदी 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 कैसे हैं? नीरव मोदी, ललित मोदी, नरेंद्र मोदी, और अभी थोड़ा ढूंढेंगे तो और बहुत सारे मोदी निकलेंगे.
But he said, सबके नाम मोदी क्यों हैं?
मोदी नाम के हर बंदा चोर क्यों है?
Right. So I don't think Rajdeep's logic is valid in that sense. You have to start attacking the law itself, but unfortunately it's the law. Okay, but you can't societalize individual slurs. So for example, if I say कि Kushal काला है और Khalid jihadi है, okay, I mean, all dark people can't take me to court for criminal defamation. How absurd is that?
Right.
All jihadis can't take me to court for criminal defamation.
Right.
You are not a jihadi, and Kushal Mehra, clearly you can see from his artificial lighting, is fairer than the three of us put together, even though you're Kashmiri and I'm a Kala Madrasi. Right?
No.
So there is a logic to it. I don't think Rajdeep's logic holds up, because the problem lies in criminal defamation itself.
Yeah, and if we go यार honestly मतलब राहुल गांधी को किस बात के लिए ये लोग ने धरा हुआ है यार, मैं तो सीधा नाम लेके बात करता हूँ. You go to तमिलनाडु, जो वहां पे पेरियार पॉलिटिशियंस होते हैं, वो जो चॉइसेस्ट चीजें अपनी स्पीचेस में बोलते हैं. अभी the issue is that like people like me have to rely on translations, but my Tamil friends who tell me, like, they generalize about communities like this, they just generalize. Then you have had politicians inside the Bharatiya Janata Party making some obnoxious remarks about Muslims in general. You've had politicians in the Congress making obnoxious remarks about the Hindus in general. You've had politicians in other parties. If we are going to go down this route, look, Rahul Gandhi, as much as I dislike him, and I'm going to be abused, I think this was unfair on him. I think he does not deserve to go to any jail. I think he should be in the parliament entertaining us thoroughly by whatever shenanigans he wants to do. But the reason he is disqualified is because of his own team's ineptness. There was no case. Any half-brained lawyer would have won this case.
That is a real surprise. How the hell you screw up a case like this? It's clear cut. It's clear cut. There is no criminal defamation out here, boss.
कुछ भी है ये. It's hubris.
No, and it's the theatre of the absurd. Prominent South Indian actress Khushbu Sundar, who was initially associated with Congress, is now a part of BJP. And they digged out her old tweet where she said exactly this, where she said, "Yahan Modi, wahan Modi, jahan dekho Modi, lekin ye kya? हर मोदी के आगे भ्रष्टाचार सरनेम लगा हुआ है, तो बात को समझो ना." I mean, Khushbu Sundar is game right now if anybody files a criminal defamation case. And that's different that her own party, Supremo, will have to file it. So
here's the thing. This shows you how Zubair doesn't understand the law. And I'm very curious to see how many of his Lashkar-e-Toiba friends retweeted it, especially the Lashkar-e-Toiba lawyers who fawn over him. Because what happens out there is the law doesn't have to be, you can pick and choose who to apply any law for. For example, you get Amritpal supporters. 44 of them were released a few days back because they decided that the gravity of crimes against them weren't whatever. Under Indian law, you can pick and choose. Just because you choose to prosecute one person does not mean you have to prosecute the other person. Just because you sue one person for defamation does not mean you have to sue another person for defamation, who might have done the exact same thing. Okay, you can, and the immediate counter argument is, who is Khushbu Sundar? She's a Tamil film actor. Her relevance is only restricted to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu anyway doesn't vote for Modi. Who is Rahul Gandhi? He leads a national party. So you can actually calibrate the choice to go after Rahul Gandhi and not Khushbu Sundar. And to Khushbu Sundar's credit, she hasn't deleted the tweet. She had an opportunity to delete all her tweets. Look at Jaivesh Shergill, look at Khushbu. None of them deleted their tweets. They've kept it there. It's open for public scrutiny.
Zubair and Pratik had to delete all those Hindu attack tweets.
And they had to delete official Sususwamy, that handle that he used to run also. Na? Yeah. वो तो भगोड़े साले cowards हैं. Right. Okay. And he's told his father and mother to hide his laptop and his mobile phone, which conveniently goes missing just when the police comes, gets stolen. Okay. But here, these people haven't hidden anything. It's still up there. You can go check. Galti kya hai usme? Nothing wrong with it.
The other thing I wanted to get in was, then there was a press conference Rahul Gandhi held, and he chided this reporter, which later on one came to know was someone who's covered Congress a lot, and he labeled him as a BJP agent. And Pallavi Ghosh, I think, wrote about how hardworking this guy is, how he's covered everything, and all he was asking him was that do you think that comment was something wrong? And he just called him a BJP agent, and obviously Zubair and co were jumping and defending that. So your views on that?
So please, if you want to work for the BJP, then bring a BJP flag symbol here and put it on your chest. Then I'll answer you the same way I answer them. Don't pretend to be a pressman.
Well, what do I say? These are all typical tactics of political outfits in India. I mean, everybody does this, right? No, anyone I don't like in the media is a prostitute. Everybody the left doesn't like in the media is Godi media. I mean, this is how political tribalism plays out in the long run, because Indians have lost the art, and the current prime minister is equally to blame. Where does the current prime minister do any press conferences where the current prime minister is questioned by 10 independent journalists in a back and forth? We just don't have our leaders being scrutinized. No matter how much we could say Trump was this or that, but there were journalists grilling Trump all the time in the White House press conference. And similarly, it happens with Joe Biden too. There are, Republican-leaning journalists who are allowed inside the White House who question leaders. हमारे यहाँ पे तो ये कल्चर ही नहीं है बॉस. हमारे यहाँ ये कल्चर ही नहीं है. आप गोदी मीडिया बोल दो, आप प्रेस्टिट्यूट बोल दो और आप आगे बढ़ जाओ. So ये मतलब वो कौन जर्नलिस्ट है, क्या है? और दूसरा, the journalists as a class in India have also not held their head high and left themselves to be looked at in glory, because they also keep doing अजीब किस्म के shenanigans, where you have prime journalists like Sagurika Ghosh writing stories on how semen is added in balloons and women are attacked with that. I mean, Holi ke time pe. I mean, if you are going to write such rubbish stories, then who's going to take you seriously, boss? There are good journalists in India that need to be respected, irrespective of which side of the political spectrum they fall. Like, I'll give you an example. Now, I may not agree with everything Shekhar Gupta says, but you could learn a lot by watching Shekhar Gupta's recent series on Punjab and Bhindranwale. You should go and see that. It's fantastic work. This is how good content and good journalism is done. But where are those people? Like, I don't agree with how Barkha Dutt's views are also there, but again, what has happened in Punjab, Barkha is out there covering the ground. Uski spin jo bhi hogi, magar point hai wo kar to rahe hain. Aise Pallavi is a good journalist. You just use Pallavi Ghosh as an example. Now, she's been on the Congress beat for a long time. She's a damn good journalist. And there are many other good journalists. But this entire, bluster and shouting match that has started in Indian media, I don't know how to say it, post Arnab Goswami. It is not that I have anything personal against Arnab. I think I wish him well. But the point is, everybody is like, gladiatorial in their mindset. And theek hai, jisko jo karna hai kare. Rahul Gandhi to ye karega hi na. See, why would Rahul Gandhi answer a tough question when nobody else wants to answer it? First of all, is he even smart enough to answer a tough question?
Unfortunately, I'm a member of parliament. And you know that, no? Yeah, this is how he answers questions.
Also, Abhijit, what happened in that press con was that this is as blatant bias you can see, right? I mean, Rajdeep and Said keep on accusing others of Godi media. Godi media keeps on accusing them of being Darbari media. But he did tell Rajdeep that, let me finish, Rajdeep. Unless you want to answer it for me, you do that also sometimes. I mean, that was straight away. Rajdeep was asking something and Raga is like, let me finish it. You वैसे भी तो कभी-कभी तो मेरे लिए answer कर रही था. Which is like telling him, yeah, dude, we are on the same side. Like, how partisan can this be?
And you know what? Apparently, Rajdeep smiled and blushed.
Let me finish, Rajdeep. Unless you want to answer it for me.
So
you do that also sometimes.
That also brings me to another point. Like, so this whole independent journalist doesn't. I mean, what is an independent journalist? It's a very vague thing, right?
Okay. Let's be clear about one thing. See, if you're covering a party, if you've been allocated to the party, your job is to crawl up their butt. Okay? Because the more positive portrayal of them you get and telegraph their views accurately, the more access you get. And that is what your news outlet has posted you there for. So everybody deployed to the Congress will have to crawl up Congress ass. Everybody deployed to the BJP will have to crawl up BJP's ass, etc., 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 etc. That is how the job is done, because the same news channel can then employ somebody else. The BJP correspondent can cancel out the views of the Congress correspondent, and the Congress correspondent can cancel out the views of the BJP correspondent. Okay. But every correspondent who goes there, now, The thing is, when your press conference is on the disqualification itself, how does he expect that you will not ask questions on the disqualification? What was the question that was asked? Right.
Yeah.
It was, he said, the BJP is saying this. How do you respond? This is not to be I mean, if Rahul Gandhi just wanted to give a speech without being questioned, he should have just given a speech. First you say, ask me questions. Then you don't answer the questions. So फायदा क्या है? ये कोई press conference है? And this is nothing, boss. Do you know, when they were in power, people don't report this, but when they were in power, if you dared ask anybody, any of them a question like this, you'd be beaten up and kicked out. The cameras were never turned to show you all that nonsense, which is why nobody used to dare open their mouths at that point of time. ठीक है ना? So that was the way it was done. What he got him irritated is the fact that, how dare you? 8 years back, you wouldn't have dared ask me this question. Today, how dare you ask me this question? The boy needs psychiatric help. He needs serious psychiatric help. He's going down a very, very dark path. I think I've dealt with depression issues. I can tell you there is a streak of depression and some kind of serious mental health issue brewing out here. I'm not a trained professional. I can only talk about my personal experiences, but something needs dealing with here.
Kushal, you spoke about the fact that when Rahul Gandhi said that I'm not Savarkar, I'm not going to say sorry for this utterance for which he's got disqualified from the parliament. You put out a tweet then, who was that guy who apologized for the Rafael scam and put out an apology saying, I'm sorry, whatever I said on the floor of the parliament was wrong. So anything about that? What was it that he had to apologize in the Rafael case? And
he had made certain statements, right? And he was questioned in the court, and then he had to take those statements back. That was the whole story, and he apologized for that. But the point is, why always bring about Savarkar's apology? Gandhi ने भी ऐसे letter लिखे हुए हैं. हर इंसान ने लिखे हुए हैं वैसे letter उस time पे. What is so unique about Savarkar?
Because he's an ideological opponent, so it fits.
और and Rahul Gandhi and like sorry बोल दिया, मतलब I don't understand this. And what a political self goal. Like Savarkar is a huge icon in Maharashtra. Does he want to, right now, Nana Patole, who's the Congress chief in Maharashtra, must be banging his head on the wall right now. He's like, फिर बोला. अब मैं क्या करूंगा मेरे constituents को बता के? Does Rahul Gandhi think actually insulting Savarkar 24/7 is going to get him votes? Right. In Maharashtra, at least.
True.
There has to be some semblance of truth. And what is the big deal? Like, everybody has written these kinds of letters at one point of time in their life here. We don't hold it against anyone else. I won't hold it against Rahul Gandhi either. But the point is that you lie with impunity. You lie with so much impunity. And because there is no culture of back and forth questioning in our circus, that is our politics in our country, what do? We literally don't know what to do. And Rahul Gandhi is an मतलब क्या बोले अभी वो बंदे को, मेरे पास तो शब्द ही नहीं रहे बोलने के लिए इस इंसान के लिए.
See, apology letter, he of all people, it's fine to bring up. I mean, you can bring up whatever you want. Like, the government is free to go after whoever it wants for a criminal whatever thing, selectivity. You're free to go after Savarkar. But you tell me something, Khalid. Is Union of States, Savarkar, does it resonate with the voters today? When Savarkar was alive, he couldn't get voters to vote for him. How resonant is he as a voting issue today?
Not at all.
Outside Maharashtra, not an issue.
Not an issue. Okay. And with Maharashtra, it is an issue because remember, when Gandhi was killed, there was a full-blown massacre of Chitpavan Brahmins that happened out there, which nobody wants to talk about. The Congress organized several pogroms. Sikhs in 84 is the one we talk about, but nobody wants to talk about the Chitpavan Brahmin pogroms that were carried out, in which close to about 8,000 Chitpavan Brahmins were killed, tortured and killed. Nobody wants to talk about that.
And
Okay,
as if that
now,
was not enough to know, Priyanka Gandhi ki statement padhi kya, Abhijit?
You know what Priyanka Gandhi has said?
Yeah,
Pandav
Ramayan
kya
and Lord
parivarvad
Ram.
nahi the. Lord Ram kya ye nahi the.
Let me read her verbatim. Let me read her verbatim. उन्होंने अपने परिवार, अपनी धरती के प्रति अपना धर्म निभाया. Then who was Lord Ram? He also was sent into exile. मतलब और कुछ नहीं था. The best is, उसके बाद, as if that was not enough. Should we be ashamed of that members of our family who laid down their lives for this country? They shed blood for this flag. इस धरती में उनका खून है. और then she doubles down. I mean, the woman has, these people have serious issues. The best comment on this was Tavleen Singh, who said more proof of it were if it were needed that the Gandhis need nobody to damage them politically because they are so good at doing it themselves.
I mean, most of the commentators did say that they're tone deaf when it comes to the whole political atmosphere. So one wonders the kind of people they have around, who are filling them with all this.
Khalid, can you imagine the scenario? सुबह उठते हैं, आज किससे वोट छीने हम? हमारे ही छीन लेते हैं. चलो आज लॉर्ड राम को गलत तरीके से. मेरे को तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा इनके एडवाइजर कौन है और ये कौन इंसान था. And who is this person, Abhijit, who thought Priyanka is a better option than Rahul Gandhi?
See, Priyanka, from everything I'm hearing, is just as bad as her brother. The thing is, because she doesn't open her mouth that much, you don't expose your stupidity publicly. Rahul is stupid and he makes a virtue of it by going on opening his mouth. He proudly displays his stupidity. He's the mascot for Stupid Lives Matter. But Priyanka is a card-carrying member of Stupid Lives Matter. It's just that she doesn't go on the streets holding a placard saying Stupid Lives Matter. I
want to understand that to this woke group who are the advisor council for them right now, and to the woke kids who think that, democracy is in danger and, I mean, hell has broken loose with, whatever's happened with the actions towards Rahul Gandhi. What do you guys want to tell them? Like, what is the procedure to get this criminal defamation law scrapped?
As in, I don't think. Sorry, तेरा question क्या था? Khalid, तेरी आवाज थोड़ी कट गई थी. मुझे आवाज नहीं आई थी.
He's asking, what's the best? How do we get the criminal defamation laws scrapped?
कभी नहीं जाएगा. भूल जाओ. तू आंसर कर. मेरे पास कोई आंसर नहीं है इसका. मैं अपना टाइम नहीं वेस्ट करूंगा.
The time to scrap criminal defamation is when it's not in the news. If you start raising a scrap any law, when it's in the news, they'll say it's partisan. So what you need to do is you need to allow this particular thing to get settled down. And then when it is not in the news, you then go scrap it. Right? That's the best way to go about doing it. But the issue still remains. So, one of the reasons I support Section 377 of the IPC, which criminalizes sodomy, is because as a gay man, I have absolutely no defense against being raped. Because in this country, laws are not gender neutral. A woman can rape a man and there will be no consequences to it. And females raping men is very common, Khalid, and men, in fact, are even more raped men are even more victimized because they're required to be macho, manly, and they can't talk about it. The shame of having a woman rape you. Second, it's not even seen as rape. It's like, oh, you're a man, you must have enjoyed it. And I know several people who have done that. So it's happened. I know people it's happened to. And they just won't talk about it. Now, that being the case, you need 377 as a protective mechanism. It's not a nice law, but if your rape laws were gender neutral, if your sexual molestation and harassment laws were gender neutral, that would be the case. The problem is your entire jurisprudence. If a woman says anything about dowry, it is, you don't have to give proof. She said dowry, then dowry. You have to ye karo fine. Automatic jail. Even before you're convicted, jail. So there is a whole set of things. This is where, but to be fair, the Supreme Court did read down the SC/ST Atrocities Act, and they said, it can't just be automatic jail. I don't think speech and things like that should have a social consequence, but they can't have a criminal consequence. Okay. Again, the problem is the law in this country is such a jumbled mess. Jurisprudence in this country is such a jumbled mess because each of the benches of the Supreme Court can hold diametrically opposite views and give diametrically opposite judgments, which makes the rule of law in this country a sad, pathetic joke. They know it's a problem, but they'll never fix that problem. Why? Because it suits them to have different opinions from which they can pick and choose whenever they want. And this is why people don't realize this. The biggest hindrance to investment in this country. Did you know this, Khalid? Every single company that comes into India, their biggest risk is not regulatory risk. It is not bribes. It is not anything. It is judicial risk. It is the single biggest risk component of that any company coming into India has to measure. Non-enforcement of contracts and judicial risk. And non-enforcement of contracts comes from your judges' chronic economic illiteracy. I think you've seen the thread I did on Rohinton Nariman when he was a Supreme Court judge. He gave a bullshit lecture on women in history. He didn't even know history. He didn't even know what history was. He was talking about a lady called Pope Joan, who was apparently the only female pope, who then got pregnant and the Romans realized she was a woman and they killed her sometime around 1000 AD. It's a complete gobbledygook story. It never existed. He put this down in a speech. His story of Cleopatra was absolute historical crap. But this is the kind of education. We're a third world country. You know what a third world country is? A third world country is not people dying, starving naked on the streets. That is the symptom. It's very low human investment. All the institutions of a third world country reflect that society perfectly. They are not lotuses that come out of the muck and shine. Your army is actually a very clear reflection of your society. If you dig deep, you will find all the rot in the army that you will find in the rest of society. Your judiciary is the same. Acutely poor comprehension, acutely poor trading, acutely poor everything. What makes the judiciary worse is the total lack of accountability, the self-selection, the opacity and everything. The kind of lack of accountability and opacity that judges enjoy, not one single institution in India enjoys, except maybe RAW and IB. And you are not an intelligence organization. Ab kya karoge?
So lastly, can we sum it up that basically the narrative and the argument should be that which major political party or which regional political party is willing to say that they are going to basically fight for scrapping of the criminal defamation law? I mean, that's what the actual thing should be, right? Societal wise, and will the judiciary take a lead in it and say, okay, fine, you cannot have such a law,
Your criminal defamation is not even so misused as much as that freaking blasphemy law is. वो तो कोई हटाता नहीं है, तो ये क्या घंटा हटाएंगे ये लोग? कुछ नहीं होना इस देश में जब तक सोसाइटी से आवाज नहीं जाएगी. Boss, on average, Indians, do they even realize free speech matters? These things matter? I don't know. I have my doubts. And I honestly, I'm not very positive on this issue. I think in a decade and a half or so, maybe you will see criminal defamation getting out, maybe through, because what happens then is we will be a far richer country and the cost of indulging in these activities will be too high. So I think economics will make it go away. Political will? Hell no. No.
Right.
Why would a politician want to get rid of something they can abuse? Why would they? It's their nature to abuse laws. That's all politicians do, irrespective of where they sit.
And there's no exception to the rule. I mean, do we know of any political party or any politician who's ever said that this needs to go? Abhijit, do we know?
No.
No.
No, I think a whole bunch of them have filed a joint petition against this. No, Swami, even Rahul Gandhi has joined that petition. Rahul Gandhi and Swami on the same side filing it against criminal defamation. And I agree, it needs to go, boss. In a civilized society, you can't have criminal defamation. You can't have the criminalization of speech. Okay, the criminalization of speech has to be, I think, in India. And let's be clear about this. The Brandenburg law might not be entirely suitable to India because we're a third world society. And, in rural areas, rumors are enough to trigger a pogrom.
Yeah. Lynching, yeah.
Okay. So what I suggest is take the Brandenburg principle at the core and impose a certain, this thing. If in the past a statement like this has led to riots, then you are liable for incitement. Now, the question is, Hindus don't riot for blasphemy. Muslims do. This is a colonial law because the state, the extraction from the colony had to be maximized, so the expense on law and order had to be minimized. The state didn't want to accept its role towards to maintain that monopoly of violence and things like that. So the burden of that was passed on to the individual. So who in the community is bhadkaufying? So you then protect freedom of speech and you place the burden on the communities that end up rioting and their leaders. I think that's the way to go about it. The problem is the Indian judiciary is such a joke because there is no rule of law. What is the rule of law? Let's be clear about it. The rule of law, what makes the law the law? First, let's be clear about it. Just because it's been passed by parliament doesn't make it the law. The law is the law because it is consistent in its application. The law shorn of consistency is called tyranny. Okay. Now, the very fact that Supreme Court benches can have 10 different opinions on the same subject shows you there is no such thing as the rule of law in this country. It's a joke. Okay. We are a banana republic when it comes to our judiciary. Period. There has to be clarity, there has to be consistency. Different benches simply cannot take different opinions like this. But that requires Parliament to act. Parliament will not act.
Parliament
because they just seem to...
Legislation ने act किया था पंजाब में 4 साल पहले. They doubled down on the बेअदबी law and they made it life imprisonment for बेअदबी.
बेअदबी?
Blasphemy against in Sikhism. बेअदबी when you say
Punjab,
what they hold dear.
4 साल पहले पंजाब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने, अमरिंदर सिंह की गवर्नमेंट ने लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट कर दी बेअदबी की. तो ये हमारा लेजिस्लेशन ये करता है.
And mind you, what is blasphemy in that particular case is important to discuss. It is if you declare yourself a guru or anything like that.
Yes.
In Punjab, it doesn't matter you claim to be the next guru after Guru Nanak or whatever, or Guru Gobind Singh. You claim you are a guru, it is blasphemy out there. You can't even practice your own religion out there if somebody else deems it blasphemous to them. समझ रहे हो? Which is why it's Gurmeet Ram Rahim Insan. Yes. Because the Dera Sacha Sauda used to get killed by these Damdami Taksal types because they said you are declaring yourself the guru even though the Guru Granth Sahib is the last guru. Right? And so he had to show that he is not Sikh, he had to put Ram Rahim And then he had to put insan to show he's not guru. Udhar, God forbid somebody calls him Guru Ram Rahim Insan. Gaya. Which is why he's only Ram Rahim Insan. Bas. This is the kind of bullshit that happens in this country. It's a joke. This is why I'm telling you, nobody takes any Indian institution seriously. Let's be clear about it. When Rahul says that, there is institutional erosion, it isn't the BJP eroding institutions. It is the third worldness and third-ratedness of the people in the judiciary, of the people in the legislature, of the people in all your institutions that is making all these institutions a crying bloody joke. Third-rate jokers from a third world country in third world F-grade institutions. That is your problem out here. You look at how France legislates these things. They are so clear on their first principles. They're crystal clear. Everybody understands first principles in France because it's drummed into you. That civic sense, that civic duty, the ideals of the Republic are drummed into you right from your time at school. There is absolutely no two views about it. It is militant anti-clericalism, militant anti-establishmentarianism. Remember when they legislated about, they wanted to target Muslim burqas. Basically, that was the law. It ended up, do you remember in 2007 or 8, or was it 11 or so? It ended up affecting Sikhs as well because they weren't allowed to wear turbans in schools. Now the Sikhs then protested saying, but our religion requires us to wear the turban. And Manmohan Singh raised this, and the French were so good in their academic scholarship, they immediately gave him the Guru Granth Sahib and they said, you show me where the Guru Granth Sahib says this. It says the 5 Ks. Kesh, Kacha, Kanga, Kada, Kripan. Isme pagdi kahan pe hai? And so they brought out the Rehat Maryada, which is a late 18th or early 19th century text, which says that you should wear a turban. And they said, boss, the Gurus themselves said that the Guru Granth Sahib is the final book. You are showing me something that is violative of the Guru Granth Sahib itself. Agar Guruon ne nahi bola hai, to tum kya bol rahe ho? Nobody wants to talk about what happened in that meeting. I think it was between Sarkozy and Manmohan Singh. ऐसी की तैसी बजाई थी मनमोहन सिंह की. Imagine the French taking the mickey out of a Sikh on an issue of Sikh religious jurisprudence. That is why France is a first world country. That is why France, with the same defense budget as you, is able to produce stuff that you are not able to even bloody produce if you try for 100 years. That is why France is a first world country. That is why France is in UN Security Council. और तुम्हारी औकात नहीं बनती है UN Security Council में बैठने की. अरे तुम्हारी तो औकात भी नहीं बनती है UN Security Council को साफ करने की.
So Abhijit getting very passionate there. So leaving us with a lot of food for thought.
We are a third world country. The sooner we accept we're a third world lump of shit, the better for everybody.
No, surely, there's a lot to think on the fact that, ultimately what constitutes freedom of speech, and this is a society with legislator and the judiciary all being a part of it, all the political parties being a part of it, and it's just politicking happening, saying that Isko, Raga is being victimized and he's a martyr and all, but this is just our society. Congress themselves isn't taking a line ki bhai go down with the criminal defamation, right? No political party is taking, neither will ever, Trinamool Congress will never do it. Here the Supreme Court said that they are bordering on dictatorship.
No, they did. The TMC did. Remember, they went after that professor.
Yeah, they went, yeah.
Do you remember that professor who
the one who drew a cartoon of Mamata Banerjee?
Who shared a cartoon. He didn't even draw it. Yeah, he shared. So they do it.
No, what I'm saying, they are not going to say ki scrap it.
Nobody is going to.
They've used it. They've used it.
Swami, Rahul Gandhi and co. Yeah. They've used it. They've all used it in ruined lines. Swami is the only one. Swami and Rahul Gandhi, surprisingly, the only ones who have been campaigning it for a long time, justifiably so.
Credit to them for that. All right, thank you, Kushal. Thank you, Abhijit, for speaking on a topic which currently is like everyone's been discussing about it. But I hope at least now the narrative shifts to the fact that who has the guts to say scrap the law, the rest will fall into place. Thanks, guys.
Let's see who does it. Bye-bye.